Hello, friends, and welcome to the Monday show. What is it now? 23 Roots? Is that right?
23.
23. That's that number that keeps coming up everywhere, right? The number 23. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Roots. Roots, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You know, it's times like this that you love to be a VR content creator, but at the same time, you hate to be a VR content creator because as much as I like talking about VR games and as much as I like making videos about VR games, there's one thing I like a lot more, and that's playing VR games. And doing this stuff takes time, and right now, all I want to do is just play this freaking game, man. What say you?
Yeah, I every time I get to doing something else, I keep thinking about going back to the Walking Dead. And somebody said it in the Discord, and they were actually quoting you, and just how if a game is successful on release, people will be talking about it for days, and that's exactly what's been going on in the Discord. It's like almost everybody's raving about the game. There's a couple of disgruntled Boneworks fans out there, but I don't know, man. I don't even know how the two have anything together. But no, this is one of the best games I've played in a long time, and I've already put in almost 10 hours. I saw Anthony had 9 hours in there, and that's, to me, is impressive. When Anthony's like halfway through a game, I'm assuming he's halfway through, and it's this long, that means the game's pretty good, right?
Well, he could be like me, and he could be like 9 hours and still on day 3 or day 4 or something, because you got to get every box of matches Roots. We have to get all of them because we need that gunpowder.
One thing I was going to ask you, and I'm not 100% sure how it works. You can only leave and come back once, right? Like your day doesn't continue. I can't go scavenge, go back to my bus, drop stuff off, go back out, come back several different places. If I remember correctly, when I leave and go get my shit and come back, it's now night and I have to sleep. Because the first couple times of me gathering, I thought, okay, I'll just go out and I'll go gather, I'll come back. And it doesn't work that way. I'm on day 12, man, and shit's getting hairy on day 12. There's hordes roaming around. Like, that was one of the things that some people were saying in the Discord, that people are cheating the system by, and the only way I can assume that they're doing it is going back to that church area and gathering shit there, because there is no time as far as that. But I don't know. I don't want to talk out too much, because I know you're a little bit behind everybody else as far as that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm a mission or two in, maybe 3. I'm on day 4 technically as far as the days go, but I literally spent one mostly scavenging. Like I built the radio thing up in the bus, and then we had the sound happen while I'm talking to the guy that triggered that new mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of going to that new mission, I went back to the shallows and I scavenged. Then when I got back from that, it was nighttime, but I went ahead with the mission even though it was nighttime. I went through the graveyard and did that, all that stuff in the back of the graveyard with the keys and all that stuff. So yeah, I did go back once, but I think you're right. I think I did end up sleeping in between to save my progress. So I don't know. I haven't really tried to go back twice in one day. But yeah, what can I say about this game? I've been saying for months now that I think it's going to be my favorite game ever. I've been calling it my favorite game ever. It's still a little early to go that far, but I can see it, man. I can totally see it. I need to see more of the game, but if it's going to go how I think it's going to go, I absolutely think this is going to be my favorite game I ever played.
Yeah, so far it's mine. It's got so much to it. I was telling you, and I actually posted in Discord. I had gotten to a part where, there was a hordes everywhere, and I smeared some stuff on me and to cover myself up, and was walking through the horde and did my thing, and and had got to a house, and as I was going up the stairs, my it started to wear off, and I was like, oh, that's weird, it's wearing off. And I thought, oh, okay, good, there's only one zombie in front of me, I'll kill it real quick and I'll keep going up. And I killed it, and I heard like commotion behind me, and so I glanced over my shoulder, and I kid you not, the entire horde that I was walking through was now full pace sprinting up the stairs at me. And I thought, oh fuck, I ran into the bathroom and slammed the door shut, and I was hiding in there, and I could hear them doing their thing for a while, and eventually it did die down. But I found out those hordes are no joke, man. Like I tried to sneak by one in an alleyway, and they weren't having it, Wes. They tore me down like that horse with Glenn, and they just chewed the fuck out of me. And I it was not fun. It was definitely very traumatizing. So
Yeah, I've died only one time, but it was by horde as well. I let my timer on my watch expire, and the bells started chiming. I assumed it would bring about a temporary danger period, where I can't go outside. So I thought, hey, who cares? I'll just, scavenge in this mansion here while they're out there in the street. But they never went away. So eventually I decided I'm going to just make a run for it. And that's when my stamina runs out about halfway up the street. And one grabs me, and then another, and that's it. When two of them have you, you're done. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's how I learned to not dilly-dally. When you go to town, get in and get out.
Yeah. Well, and it is a lot like The Walking Dead in this sense, because I was talking to Alex about this, and about the humans, and just how, like, I don't know what to expect, because I walk up to people and they're like threatening me to steal they want all my medicine, and they're holding me up at gunpoint, or there's just a lot of shit going on with humans that I trust the dead more, because I know what to expect from them. And that's exactly the Walking Dead world, right? Where you just don't know what's going on. And there's quite a few, NPCs are out there trying to kill you as well as help you. So, or get you on missions. You said you ran into some lady that was trying to have you kill her husband or something, I guess, to get the wedding ring back. Right?
Yeah. That was the very first person I came into contact with other than Henri. And yeah, she wanted me to go put her husband down. I guess he had turned, and bring back the wedding ring as a memento. But of course, I'm not just being good guy Weasel. I needed something in return, so she offered me that save combination for it. But that was the time I got killed. I died in the middle of the street, and when I went back and got my belongings, the ring was gone, and so was the chick. So I don't know where she's at, but if I ever find her, I'm going to stick a gun in her mouth till I get that safe combo from her.
Well, I'll let you know. I wasn't blown away by the safe. Let's just put it that way. It was okay. And, I was more trying to console her, because she just lost her husband. She's a fresh widow. But she wasn't having any of that, Wes. The NPCs in this game, literally, if you try to touch them, they get freaked out, like you're trying to get all rapey on them, and just trying to console,
Yeah, right. Ruuts is there for you, baby.
Yeah.
They don't call me Ruuts for nothing, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, not a perfect game, by any stretch, but by far the closest thing that we've ever seen to the perfect zombie game that I have in my mind. Obviously, I'd like a bit more of an open world. I'd like to be able to go into more of these buildings. But with that said, I'm thoroughly impressed, not only with the branching narrative. It's like what we wanted Defector to be and the way we wanted it to work is how this game actually works. Like, This is a fairly linear game as far as the story goes, but I feel like I could play it 3 or 4 times and have a fairly different experience every time, right?
Yeah, there's your lady right there.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, see, I actually did get her the ring back, but yeah, no, it's definitely, I agree. I think this game, it's see, there you go. See, I was just trying to console her. But like you said, this game isn't perfect, and I guess we can talk about a little bit of the gripes as far as the obviously the biggest gripe everybody had was the ducking, right, or the having to hit a physical button. But the best thing about that is we learned how good this developer is, man. They're already working on that shit. They've already got a fix, a hot fix, and they should have the actual patch out soon, hopefully. Because I did find it a little jarring to not be able to duck down, even if you just kind of maneuver a certain way. It moves with you, It took me about a minute to get over and not even pay attention to it, but I just think it's cool that they're working on it that quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Not really the biggest issue for me with the ducking. Little secret here, Weasel spends about 12 hours a day on his feet. So when I get home, guess what I will do? I get in my chair and play VR. So I've played every minute of this I've played seated. So the duck button is just perfect for my situation. But it is a bit jarring for me when you try to lean in or lean across like a table or something, and it kind of pushes you back. But that's nothing new. Contagion, VR Outbreak, exactly the same thing, and I griped about it with that game too. I'd rather, even if like the world were to black out or something for a moment or go all blurry, I think that's better than having this kind of weird camera weirdness, because this can really feel unnatural and make a lot of newbies sick, to be quite honest. When you have camera weirdness, it gets you in the stomach.
That was
And
exactly what I thought. I was like, I was glad I had my VR legs, because there was no way I was going to be able to do what I was doing in the beginning anyway. And like I said, once I realized or got used to it, I actually like the ducking with the button. I see why they did it, and I also see why they left it the way it was at first, because I'm already seeing people complain in the discussions on Steam saying, "Hey, I'm clipping through this now because they did the fix," and
right.
just little things that, or like when I'm sitting. Or when I duck down and I'm sitting, I'm now grabbing my gun instead of the drawer. I'm, the shit that you would expect to have happen. That's why they did it the way they did it. So I'm sure they'll fix that and they'll work it around. But I just think it's really cool. They worked on it that quickly, and I mean that's the biggest gripe I would see. So
yeah, if they've eliminated the really only major gripe people had within 2 days, I mean, what is there to complain about here? I don't. Obviously, we're not hearing a whole lot of complaints anymore. I mean, pretty much, it's almost unanimous that this game is awesome. It's still kind of up in the air how awesome it's going to turn out to be, because sizable campaign here, right? This is going to take some time to play through, and that's another thing. People forget that it wasn't all that long ago that 5 hours was a long VR game. And now with the games we've had come out over the last few months, the standards have changed. Now 10, 15, 20 hours is a real thing. And that's just awesome. It's awesome how quickly we've gotten here.
yeah, and it's funny how quickly everyone forgets. It's like they're not too far removed. But one of the things I do actually, it's funny to watch, because Quest is, all these stages of all these different platforms, and Quest is now the newest one. And I'm seeing people on the Reddit that are like just ready for the next game, like, and they're complaining about the same thing we complained about. Man, there's nothing really deep to dig into, and You know, a lot of these feel like tech demos, and I feel like I went back in time like 2 years. You know, it's weird. It's a weird, surreal thing to see that they're going through the exact same thing we went through. And I want to get on there and say, suck it up, man. We went through it. But I mean, that's not the nice thing to do, but it will come with time. You know, that this game in particular, you know, Q3, Q4, they'll have this sucker, and this will be the best game that probably is out for the Quest.
Well, it's not like we didn't tell the people that it was going to be that way. We told them when they said, should we buy Quest or should we buy PlayStation VR? We said, hey, Quest has great tracking. It's really easy to set up, and you know it has all the great features that come with having standalone VR. But if you want that library that you can sink your teeth into, and you want it on the cheap, you got to get a PlayStation VR to get those types of games. And they said, you know what? I want Quest. It's the hot thing. It's what everybody's raving about right now. And now they've got to wait on their games. Now, don't get me wrong. The games are going to come. The games are going to come for this thing. I used to doubt it based on its limited, you know, computing power. But I've seen it, Ruuts. I've seen what they can do, what a talented developer can do with that machine, and they can make real VR games on that thing, dude, for real. So this is supposedly coming to Quest, and I'm really interested to see how it turns out. But you know what? If it turns out very comparable to the PC version, I'm not going to be that surprised. I'm finished with being totally taken off guard by what they can do on that thing. Sky's the limit with it. When put in the hands of a talented developer. And if anything we've learned this week about Skydance Interactive, it's that we're dealing with talented developers here.
Yeah, definitely. If you do find that safe code, it's in this house here. I just found it. So, but
here's the thing about this house. It's a big house, and you can't be in it when the watch goes off, when the bells start chiming. So like, the way I explore things, I don't think I could run through this house fast enough to get in and get that safe open and get out. You know, I'm going to try it again, obviously, but man,
I'm just baffled at what I'm doing. Why did it take me that long to climb up that pole, man? I just, sometimes you watch yourself play back through and you're like, what was I doing, man? Like, was I high or something? I don't know. I don't know what the hell was wrong with Ruuts. So.
I came back here, Ruuts, and like the items were all different. Like there was more loot when I got back the second time than there was the first time. A lot more food. And,
everything. That's one of the things I'm impressed with as well in this game is everything changes, even the safe code. Like, because I had gone through, recorded some, found out it didn't record, went back, redid it, and the code. You know, I had already remembered the code because of the first playthrough, and it was different. And there's little things that are different like that as well, and even just the items. So that's kind of cool that they're always gives you a little bit of fresh take, you know, because one of the biggest things you're doing in this game is scavenging, right? I don't want to be scavenging and say, okay, let me go to the blue house. I know there's a keyboard there and there's this there, and no, that's lame, you know.
One of the things that I really appreciate about this game is the balance that they're striking here between realism and game. Like it's real enough to be a challenge. Like, for example, we've already touched on the stamina. You know, you can't just sprint the whole time. You can't just fight as hard as you can the whole time because you'll get tired, and if you get tired, you're screwed. But there's also your inventory. You know, it's annoying that you can only carry so many things in your backpack. But if you think about it, how many things could you carry on you in real life? Not even as much as you can in this game, right?
That's what drives me crazy about people. And it's not, I hear people complain about stuff all the time. They want things to be ultra realistic, and this isn't real enough. But then they complain there's no stamina, or that there's stamina, because I can't run forever, dude. Like, if I slash into zombies in real life or anything over and over again, I'm gonna get tired, man. I can only do it for so long. That's realistic. So, like, I feel like there's a schizophrenic moment going on here. I want realistic, but I don't want it to be realistic, you know? And it's bizarre, man. It's kind of like the physics, you know, for Boneworks. It's like, we want to have it really be very physics oriented, but it doesn't feel right. And I think this game does the physics better than Boneworks. And I think Alex will do it better than this one. And it makes sense. You know, Boneworks was like a good starter. It was so amazing as far as the physics, but it went too far. And I think this one scaled it back just about the right amount.
Yeah, I agree, and you're absolutely right. The physics of Boneworks was groundbreaking, and it's going to impact VR games for many years to come. What they did in that game, but it was too far. It was uncomfortable. At some point, a game is a game, and you have to let it be a game because, as we talked about when we talked about Boneworks, you can't have weight without feeling. They go together. And if the objects have weight and you can't feel it in your hands, it creates a disconnect and breaks immersion. And that's what Boneworks does. So a game like Saints and Sinners dials it back a little bit, makes concessions for the fact that you can't feel it in your hands, and the game plays better, it plays easier. And, you know, people who want to be purists can criticize that all they want to, but Half-Life Alyx is going to be the same way, and that's supposed to be the big savior of all VR games, right? They've already said it. Go back to that speech that one of those developers gave talking about things like this. The whole opening and closing doors was the example that they gave. Sometimes you have to let a game be a game, and this game, I think, strikes a great balance between realism and video game. That lets you have fun and at the same time lets you be challenged. And I think the challenge is really the whole cause of the criticism here, because a lot of people in the community consider themselves to be experts, and anytime that they face a real challenge in the game, they see it as unfair. Obviously, couldn't be them. You know, the game's too hard. The game's doing something that isn't right. That's the reason why they're having a difficult time, right?
Right, or you just don't enjoy that particular mechanic. Like, I don't want to be like pulling my gun out and it's like what the fuck is happening, dude? And I'm like, oh God, I'm out of stamina, and I've got two zombies in front of me, and I'm backing up, and I'm waiting to get some breath back and shoot, you know. But at the same time, you know, maybe Ruuts needs to pay attention to his stamina a little bit better. You know, it's you know, it's gonna get better. I've almost unlocked the 25% extra stamina. It's my next thing up on one of my trees, so I'm assuming that'll help. Or 25%, you know, slower losing stamina or whatever you want to call it. So
yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm infinitely impressed with this game. There's not a whole lot that I would, change about it. I love the branching narrative and the story aspects of it. I love how it has kind of a linear path, but at the same time, you can go at your own pace. And there's a ton of replayability here. You can play it multiple times and have different story elements come into play. Really, the only thing that I would change about it, if I had the power to do so, is the scavenging. I love the crafting. I think it's perfect. The crafting system. It's not too involved like a lot of role-playing games are. It's dumbed down just enough for guys like me who aren't RPG nuts, but it's complex enough to keep you always thinking. But the scavenging itself, I feel could be a little bit better. I could do with a little less stuff just being laying on the ground randomly. You know, you're in a world of need. Everyone is starving and supplies are in short order. You're not going to find shit in the street. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen very often. If you do, it's going to be around a corpse. You know what I mean? Somebody dead. I don't particularly appreciate the fact that I walk through a neighborhood of 25 old, beautiful houses that I want to see the inside of, but I can only go in one or two. You know, I would like for that entire map to be open, and I could do without the fast travel. To be honest, I'd like to physically travel to these locations, go in houses and buildings along the way, scavenge while I'm there. But again, I understand why I can't have these things at this point in time. It would be a bit of a technical achievement to get to that game. But the jump from Arizona Sunshine to this is orders of magnitude better. And again, I'm pretty confident by the time I reach the end of this game that this is going to knock Resident Evil 7 out of the top spot, and this is going to go down as my favorite game that I've ever played.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. It's definitely getting to be there for me as well. And it's just one of those games that every time I play it, there's something new that gets added to the whole mix of what I enjoy about it. And I'm looking forward to playing it again, probably when I get done filming here. Well, probably not, because it's so late. But next chance I get, this is a game I'm going into for sure.
Yeah, you're like me. I want to play a game, but I have to sleep. It's a weird juxtaposition when you'd rather play a game than sleep. Wish you didn't have to sleep so I could play more game, right?
Yeah, and if I was of a different generation, like maybe the one that just recently hit, I'd probably just not go to work. I'd be like, fuck work, man. Who needs a job? I got Walking Dead, and then I'd finish the game and I'd think, fuck, man, I need to get a job now. But now I'll be good. I'll go to work and then I'll play. So.
All right. This says it all about the way I feel about this game. Since late October, I've had this constant struggle in my head. Whenever it comes time for me to play a VR game, I can't make up my mind which one I want to play. There's so many good choices. I can't decide which one that I want to play. But for the last 3 days, there's no debate. There's only one thing I want to play. And it's going to be difficult to do Monday shows going forward because I don't want to play anything else right now, Ruuts. I want to stay in this world. Maybe it'll start to wear off sometime within the next week. But man, the way I'm feeling right now, I highly doubt it. I'm really having a lot of fun here.
You can tornuffalo it a little bit if you want to, like a little bit of a mix, palate
what was
cleanser.
The shark one that we saw today?
Oh, Sharkferno, I think.
Sharkferno, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man.
We'll make an exception for Sharkferno.
Oculus exclusive, man. Like, because who doesn't want to see flying sharks? And I'm just ready. I'm there.
Anyway, much more to come. I'm quite certain on this game. It's probably going to be the topic of discussion for the next 5 Monday shows. If I had to bet, but we're going to talk about it in some way, shape, or form. We're going to find a way, Ruuts, to make this game come up with new ways to talk about it. So
well, let me ask you this before we get off of it. Like, we had the Asgard's effect, and Stormland was the shoe. What do you think this will be going down as far as, we can't say this is the most graphically best game in the world, because there's people in the Discord that freak the fuck out, but I don't know, man. Best storytelling, like this, best overall package. It's just, to me, it's just got everything.
Well, it does a lot of stuff that no other game in VR it has done. I mean, it's not the first one to try the branching narrative, but it's certainly the first one to be able to pull it off to this extent. Because you can literally burn bridges in what you say, and the things you say and do when you interact with the people in this game have weight and consequences to the story. Maybe not the main story, but there are some that do. I mean, you can literally go one way or the other. There's actually 3 main paths that you can go in this game. And I kind of feel like, I mean, I don't know, and I won't know for a while, but I kind of feel like each path is going to have its own outcome. Like there's going to be a different ending to each story.
Yeah. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's like, you know, I know it's kind of ridiculous that they put the $150 price tag on the special edition for this, but I can't think of another. If you had to pick one, a game to put a big price tag on in VR, I mean, this is the one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's Walking Dead as well, man. There's people out there that want that backpack. And
Unicorn Walking Dead backpack.
yeah, it's different, right?
I wonder if you can put 27 items in it.
I think you probably cram as much shit in there as you want. I don't think you're limited to 27. That's the thing, man. If that's real life, like you said, you can only hold so much. But man, I'm gonna be shoving I'm definitely getting as much as I can. If I'm crafting shit out of this, I want my shit to be good. I'll tell you what, nothing better than that knife, the night knife. I don't know if you got that one yet, but it slides in and out really easy. You don't get stuck when you're pulling it out of their head. Oh man, I got the bat. Fucking bludgeon some people's with some nails on the bat. Feels good, man.
That was good. Like the next one, the one I've been trying to work on unlocking is that bat. I'm only missing like a couple of things that I need for it now.
Yeah, I'm rolling with 3 of those fuckers, man. One on the side and then one on each side of my backpack. So
yeah, a lot for me to learn, a lot more for me to do in this game, and a lot more commentary to come from our channel on this game. Also, we're going to do a gameplay, right, Ruuts?
Yeah, we're going to do an amazing gameplay pretty soon here.
Yeah, we've got an interesting idea. Obviously, we've planned on doing a gameplay since, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been planning this gameplay. But there was such a torrent of content that came out on launch day and the day after. I mean, literally the landscape has been flooded with these Walking Dead gameplays. We decided to step back, come up with a unique concept, and wait for it to die down a little bit, and then, come out with it. And I think you're really going to like the idea we've come up with here. And just give us a few days to put it together and keep an eye out for it. I like it, Ruuts. I think it's going to turn out pretty good.
I do too. And I was just watching this and I remembered I found 2 Bibles and I kept one with me, but I wanted to make sure I kept the one that looked the newer version. But I always like to carry something like that with me in a game of zombies attacking me. I feel a little bit safer.
Well, hopefully that works out for you there.
Yeah,
Glenn found a Glock inside the Bible, so people.
That's
pages.
true.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw those little Bibles. Like, I wonder what's in that thing.
No, I saw material, but I was like, man, I saw Jesus too, and I wanted to. So I kept one and I threw the other one away, and it was worth the extra slot, I think.
So. Is it just me, or does that bobblehead look like Alex?
Yeah, it does. Did you move it around? Like the physics in this are really good, man. I was messing with that thing all the time. I really like the way that the dialogue worked as well.
Yeah, everything, man. I mean, literally, my complaints about it are just like, they're not really complaints. It's like, this is my perfect zombie game, and this game falls just a little bit shy of the perfect game. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not really complaints. I understand why people were upset about the ducking thing, even though it didn't really bother me. But, again, like you said, they fixed it in short order. What's not to like here, man? I mean, it's people say that it has weird graphics, but it's not really the graphics. It's a different art style. It's a kind of a cartoony art style, but the textures, I mean, they're pretty detailed. I mean, it's just it's a different art style. It's not photorealistic. And, I mean, people can try to blame that on the fact that they're going to bring it to Quest a year from now. But it's not the first game that we've ever seen that has, this kind of graphics. I mean, nobody's accusing Borderlands of looking the way it does because it's coming to Quest, or Groundhog's Day. It's even more cartoony than this. I mean, that's not coming to Quest. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's just the art style, like you said.
Right. It's just the art style. It's a stylized thing. We're supposedly in a comic book world here. I mean, try to keep that in mind. This is based on the comic book Walking Dead universe. It kind of makes sense for things to kind of look.
That's what people. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You get the gist of what I'm saying.
I was just gonna. I get so worked up every time I think about it because, like I keep saying, you know, we got sucked into the game. Like I'm in this game world, and it looks like a comic book world, and I'm in it. You know, why does not everything has to look like the real world? I live in the fucking real world. I want to get away from it. You know,
Right.
I want to go to this cartoon comic book world, Walking Dead world, with Alex sitting there on there. So
Right. Yeah, I think the bottom line is, Roots, is that some people just don't want to like it. You know, they don't want to like it as much as everyone else because everyone else likes it. You know, there always has to be the contrarian. If everyone else likes it, then I don't.
there's something wrong with it. Then yeah.
And you can tell by the reasons as they dwindle away. It's not working out too well. This is a very good game, and 99% of the world agrees.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough for round one on this game. Many rounds to come, as I've said 3 or 4 times now. We'll get back to this one in upcoming episodes. But for now, I want to move on to our topic of the week, and this one is this one's kind of close, near and dear to the heart, Roots, because we've talked about it before. I want to talk about the Oculus Quest store and what seems to an outsider like me to be unfair practices on the part of Oculus, not allowing games like To the Top into their store. To the Top, probably the most notable instance of Oculus denying games access onto their Quest store, but not the only one by any stretch of the imagination. Ruuts, we found out, I don't know, probably 4 months now ago at this time, that this game wasn't going to be allowed onto the Quest store, denied without explanation by Oculus. And, you know, it's come up many times since then. It's mind-boggling, right? This game, even today, this is such a unique concept and so well done. This is still one of the best games in VR. Am I wrong?
No, and it's unique. And you nailed it earlier. That one of the biggest reasons why they shouldn't be denying anything is when it's not like we're flooded with games on the Oculus Quest platform, you know, like there's games out there, but they're limited and there's not anything like this game. And I don't, you know, and every game that we're going to talk about today, each one of them is unique and there's just no reason for it. And I don't, that's my biggest problem with it is, you know, as we've said before, it screws the devs. You know, they don't know what to expect. They pour money into it, thinking that they're going to make money. And then they're told, sorry, you're shit out of luck. And most developers will deal with it and some can't. Like this might be their only fucking game and we have to sell this thing, you know, then what do you do? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't either. There's really only 2 ways to go about it. You could go the path of 2MD football. You know, this is one of the only sports games in VR, the only legit good ones anyway, initially denied access onto the Quest store, despite rave reviews on every platform, not allowed on the Quest store. Well, I don't know what these guys did. I don't know what kind of internal politicking they had to go through, but somehow, some way, after a short period of time, Oculus has reversed their decision and allowed 2MD onto their store. So great. Deservedly so. This game published on Quest. Awesome. Good for them. But I like to know how they did it, because after an initial period of To the Top being very vocal about their disappointment and about the lack of transparency, um, they've been pretty silent, for the last 6 weeks to 2 months. Uh, when the community kind of made a big stink about To the Top being denied, shortly thereafter that, Jason Rubin kind of reached out to the community and said, "Hey, devs, let's talk about it privately." And ever since then, really, we haven't heard much from the To the Top guys. Good, bad, or the ugly. Nothing from them regarding this topic. Um, Now all of a sudden, they've come back. They're back on social media again. They're back in all the media again, and they're back to announce that To the Top is being published. Only instead of being published on the official Quest store, they're going to do what we suggested when we talked about this before, Ruuts. Remember, we suggested that they go behind an unofficial paywall, something like SideQuest, something like itch.io. And they're doing just that, and I think it's awesome, Ruuts. They're going behind both. They're on both websites. You can get this game now, today, for Oculus Quest for only $15. And the thing about it is, even though that's a substantially reduced price over the full price for this game, they're making a better profit off of each copy, because they're not having to pay such a heavy cut to Oculus when they sell it. So it's kind of a win-win for them, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that if they're doing it this way, they can make more money not having to go through the store. So that's good. And it makes me wonder about some of the other games. Are they going to go this route, or potentially, at what point? I would figure Oculus would put a kibosh on it and be like, "Oh no, you're not selling shit outside," because everybody gets excited about SideQuest, but they could shut that shit down if they want to at any moment. Now, granted, the longer it goes on, the harder that becomes, but Facebook has totally proven that they'll do what they're going to do whenever they're going to do it. And so I don't put any 100% trust in that either. Like, I could see them just yanking it out. Like, I was blown away with their new policies with having to be logged into Facebook, and people say, it's no big deal. I think it's a big deal. And I think they changed the game in the middle of the rules in the middle of the game, so why would they possibly not do it again in this case?
Yeah, well, this is certainly a courageous move on the part of the To the Top developers to decide to be the first, big name game. There's other stuff on SideQuest, obviously, but nothing with the profile that this game carries. Like I said, I don't know what they've been doing this last couple of months of silence, but I imagine even if they were negotiating and trying to rectify the situation with Oculus, I got to imagine they were very carefully weighing their options here and considering the risk versus the reward here. This is risky for them. Not only are they publishing their game on an unofficial store and attempting to monetize an Oculus Quest game without giving Oculus any cut of the profits, but they are also paving the way. They're breaking the ice so that another game like, say, Pixel Rip 1989, which has also been fairly vocal lately about their disappointment in being denied access to the Oculus Quest store. So let's say To the Top goes, and let's say they sell, I don't know, 100,000 copies on itch.io. That's certainly within the realm of possibility, right? I'm not saying that they sell 1 million or anything like some of these other games do, but they could sell 50,000 to 100,000 copies. That's a lot of money to an independent developer like this. And then you've got a game like Pixel Ripped here, much like To the Top, universally praised, loved, an original concept, and people just waiting to buy this game. If Oculus does nothing, if they allow this to go on, then this is a very real scenario. We could see games like Pixel Rip follow suit. So it's kind of like To the Top has put Oculus in a corner now. Up until now, Oculus has let side loading go. No real major games have gone that direction. Yeah, sure, Pavlov's got some stuff over there. Crisis VR Brigade is over there. But nothing like this. To the Top's over there now. And they're going to make some money over there. And Oculus is either going to have to, they're going to have to decide now either to let it go on or to put a stop to it. Because if they don't put a stop to it, others are going to follow suit. And I, for one, Ruuts, hope that they let it go. At this point, it's been going on for a while. It's kind of hard to put the genie back into the bottle. If you want to have this stringent policy and not allow every game onto your store, fine. But if you're going to do that, at least let these devs make some money from another source.
I think a dev like for this game, they could actually make more money. Aside from the fact of it being on the Quest and so easily accessible, I don't think you would have to cut the price on this game. I think you could charge full price on the itch.io or whatever, and it's such a good game and it's so unique and new. It would fly. I think it would sell really, really well. With no cut to Oculus at all, they might actually end up making the same amount of money, if not more. But I'm inclined to believe that Oculus is going to have to address it.
I agree, because it's not only that people are making money off of their device and not cutting them in, but it's also the fact not only does this draw other developers into side loading, but it draws other consumers, Quest owners, into side loading. There's a barrier, a little bit of a setup that you have to go through to start side loading, and most people haven't done it yet. I mean, the reward hasn't been large enough for a lot of people to get in the side loading. But if you start to see games like To the Top and Pixel Rip go over there, a lot more people are going to start side loading, and then it's only a matter of time before piracy starts to pick up and people start getting a lot more games on the cheap or even free. So yeah, it's kind of a dilemma for Oculus, but it's a dilemma of their own making.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that's why I feel like we really need to support To the Top right now, because To the Top, they're the ones that are really putting Oculus in this situation now. With their actions and them breaking the ice, they've kind of pushed things to a head here. And it could, even beyond Quest, this could cause some even further damaging repercussions for To the Top. Let's say they have a sequel out in 6 months and they want to put it on the Rift Store, but now they've ostracized Oculus or ostracized themselves from the Oculus people, and maybe Oculus doesn't let them publish their next game on the Rift Store because of this. So that's what I'm saying here. What I'm trying to say, and not doing such an eloquent job of, is it took a lot of courage for these guys to do this. I feel like they deserve our support. And I, for one, am going to buy this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it from itch.io or get it from SideQuest, but I am going to buy this game. And I'd like to highly encourage any one of you out there that are watching this right now, if you have an Oculus Quest and you're set up to sideload, throw these guys some money. What they're doing right now takes a lot of courage. And I realize, maybe it's just for monetary gain. Maybe they have to do it because they're in financial trouble or whatever, but I don't think so. I think that what they're doing deserves to be commended. I think it paves the road for, for others like Pixel Ripped. If you want to see more games, more games like this, go this route. Let's take touring carts, for example. Touring carts is a game that a lot of people love that got denied access to the Quest store. Through the actions of To The Top, if To The Top is successful, we might see a game like touring carts come over in the very near future, right?
Yeah, and that'd be awesome. Although that, what would be weird about that, and I don't know how it would. I guess it's their server, so it wouldn't be weird as far as playing with other players. But yeah, one of the biggest things would is more player base for the multiplayer games, and this game is really amazing. So I think it's a perfect fit for Quest personally.
Yeah, I have. It is, and it would be on the official Quest store. What I'm questioning here is in the case of To The Top, their unofficial version that's going on SideQuest does not include multiplayer, and that game is known for multiplayer. So I gotta wonder why that is. Is it just is it impossible to do without Oculus support? I wouldn't think so. I gotta think it's a cost thing, but I don't know. So without knowing, it's kind of hard to say what a game like Touring Carts would actually turn out to be if it couldn't get official support from Oculus.
It depends on if the servers are independent, like Touring Carts. Ivanovich is running them; they own them. Then they could do it no problem. But if they're trying to coordinate everything with the people that they're going around, if they're not in that loop, it would be might be difficult. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to think that they can do it, and I'd like to think that To The Top can do it as well. I've reached out to the developers to ask about the multiplayer. I haven't gotten a response yet. Believe me, if I do, you guys will be the first to know. But my entire thrust here, and what I'm trying to get around to saying, is Ruuts, wouldn't you love to have touring? Let's assume you had a Quest, first of all. Wouldn't you love to have touring carts on it?
Oh, absolutely. It's an amazing racing game. It's one of the only games that of this type that exists at this point, and it's a whole nother player base, so
Right.
It just gives you more people to race against.
And wouldn't you love to have Pixel Rip 1989 on your Quest if you were a Quest owner?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So the point is, if Oculus is going to be so tough and so restrictive on what they allow on their official store, don't the Oculus Quest consumers deserve an alternative? And don't the Oculus Quest game developers deserve an alternative? They do, right?
Yeah, because people don't think about that. Aside from Oculus Link, you don't have the alternative. You don't if I play on my PC, I can go to Rift or I can go to the Steam store. They have a competitor. I can even go to Epic. So there's different people right now. Quest is it, man. The Quest store. That's all. Aside from the side questing, right?
Right, exactly. So that's my point. That's my reason for revisiting this subject, is if you believe that these developers and these consumers deserve an alternative, another option, then we kind of have a moral imperative to support To The Top, because it's only through their success that others are going to follow suit here. And really, it's in our hands. It's in the hands of the consumers. We can vote right now with our money. And I've seen everyone in the community, all of these content creators, from top to bottom, condemn Oculus practices when it comes to how they choose to select games for their store. Well, it's time to put your money where your mouth is, people. Put the money down. Let's support To The Top here. And you mark my words, if they make a bunch of money outside of the Quest store, then all of a sudden the power shifts out of the hands of the guys at Oculus, back into the hands of the developers. The developers, mind you, who kept VR alive through the bad times. I got to remind you that these independent developers are who gave us games to play when the AAA guys weren't there. So these guys deserve our support, and really that's all I wanted to say, Ruuts. And that's I don't want to get on any more of a rant than I already have, but I feel like people have responded passionately with words since this whole thing started, and now here we have something that we can actually do to affect this situation. And $15 is all it costs. So, I mean, come on, guys, right?
What's the original cost for like Steam? Was it more? You said it was more expensive than that,
It was 20 or $25, but I mean, it was, again, you have multiplayer on that one as well, so it makes sense. So, I mean, it costs a little less. It's a little less of a full-featured version, but by all indications, it still plays very well on the Quest, and you do get a little added something from being untethered. You know, some games it doesn't matter whether you're tethered or not, but a game like To the Top, where you're platforming and jumping around, it absolutely matters. So, yeah, it does cost a little bit less, but there are a few less features. With that said, the developers, they're getting to keep a larger share of the money. So, yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I pretty thoroughly covered that subject. So, I believe that's going to wrap us up for this Monday show, folks. What do you think? Do you think that the Quest developers, or I call them the Quest developers because they develop Quest games, do you think that VR developers deserve a second option? Or do you think that they should basically just, if they can't get on the Quest store, that they should just scrap everything and work a little more closely with Oculus next time, get pre-approval before they develop their game instead of putting all of their eggs into the Quest basket only to get the rug jerked out from under them? What do you think about this situation? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, or you can find in the description an invitation to our Discord where we're talking VR 24/7. You can find us on there right now. So click the link down there. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell to keep up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, friends, I'd like to thank you for watching. And for Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.